Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to Kerry Ultra live Facebook sessions. You may think we were possibly in hibernation, and that's possibly because we were kind of in hibernation, but not really. No, we're prepping for this year, 2024. We are 3 months out, so it's time to, I suppose, start building up to this year, which is going to be a great year. So we have some very inspiring people and stories tonight for you. Firstly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a little clip from last year just for 2 minutes so that other people can join the stream, because we have some really cool stories and people to talk to. So just give us 2 minutes, and then we'll be back with David, Liz, Eilleen, of course, and Sorcha. Right, that's it, guys. We'll cut short the build up. I hope you got your cup of tea. I certainly got mine, because we'll be chatting with the lads. And these guys that we have on tonight, they're people that I wanted to get on for a long time, because there's some pretty cool stories, especially how Dave and Liz, I suppose, met up. But we're going to get onto those in a second. Firstly, we're going to have the race director herself on, just to give us an update about 2024. See, are the places filling up? See how many people are signed up? See, are there any particular directions at this point? So Eilleen, coming directly from Kerry. Oh my God, that video, when I watch that, I get so homesick. Is there any place as beautiful as Kerry? There is not.
Is that where that was? I was wondering. It was lovely.
It was. So tell us, Eilleen, how are things going?
Everything is grand as usual. Second nature now at this stage, Sean. I suppose first thing I'd like to say is really big thanks to Six West and Simalp. This is their third year in a row to have the confidence and the confidence in us still to work with us. So it's great. I mean, it's making a huge difference. And this is all background stuff. This is stuff that most people won't even think about. But basically, having sponsors means that it keeps the cost of the events affordable, because the background expenses are huge. They're always quite frightening, and it has to be done. But it means that we can keep the prices cheap. It means that we can keep the profile high. It means we can have the top of the range trackers, which, as everyone knows, it's a new sport, the dot watching. It means that we can keep up our donations to the community halls, tidy towns, football pitches. It keeps the Kerry Ultra up there with the best in Ireland. So it's Six West and Simalp are such an integral part of the of KWU weekend, is a part of it for the year. It's not just for the weekend; it's for the year. But that's all the boring stuff in the background. But it's still it is. We have to we do really appreciate it.
Not only that, I suppose CMAP, they come over and they love Kerry, and they're coming over again, even with more people. And the same Six West, obviously, Jason, just they're an integral part of it, not just kind of sponsoring and supporting it, but they're there, you know.
Oh, absolutely. And Six West have been in the background, dot watching. Now they're absolutely fascinated with the lunatics and what they're doing, because they're seeing it from a distance, but by helping me with the dot watching. So this is all the stuff, background stuff, that is just essential.
Cool. So tell us about this year. We're 3 months out. I'd say lots of people are like that. 3 months to train. But from, I suppose, an organizational standpoint, the recce's, tell us how they're filling up.
Yes. Yeah, we have the Ultra Lite and the Ultra Night recce this coming weekend, and then we have the first of the 2 Ultra recce's next weekend, and then we have the last of the Ultra recce at the end of July, and after that, then it's going to be all mayhem. But no, everybody everybody's very enthusiastic. Entries are flying in. The night is probably very close to full. The light's not far behind it, and I'm getting a lot of entries for the 10 a.m. start for the competitive section of the Ultra recently, which is great. So there's a really good mixture. And this year, it's amazing that we're getting a lot of very young entries. Obviously, I need everybody's birth date, and I'm beginning to see birth dates 2000, 2003, which, of course, I think is a mistake. And then I'm looking at it and says, no, they're 21 or they're 19. So it's great to see young people getting on board as well too. So, and again, we have at the other end of the scale, we have birth dates that are even older than mine, which is amazing. So we have, and everybody in between as well too. So it'll make a good mixture.
Very good. So at this stage, numbers are filling up. If anybody wants to join us in September, you suggest kind of signing up sooner rather than later, because we will hit those required our full numbers. Yes.
Well, like last year and the previous years, we will do a wait list.
Yeah.
But I think this year particularly, I see very, very little of people saying, "Oh, look, I can't do it." I think when people are committing this year, they're staying committed. Because the last few years have been, with COVID, it's been awkward with deferrals, etc., and that's not going to happen this year, which is great. People are signing up and they're being committed. So I'd say we'll have very few. Very few on the waiting list we get in.
Cool. And with regard to the actual route, or any of the logistics around that, is it a bit early to be discussing those, or will we leave that till a little bit further on?
Yes, because that will do with weather, livestock, etc. Now, just as well you mentioned it, because I just have a word of advice for everybody, in that GPXs are fine, but they're not 100% correct. And I have yet to hear of a GPX that was right, because people say last year's GPX or the year before, there'll be extra people would have gone up the wrong lane into the wrong forest, etc. And also the route is constantly changing with access improvements. There's a lot of improvements on the Kerryway these days. Livestock have to be moved, trees have to be felled. So follow the signs. GPX is fine for backup, but don't use it as your only way of running the Kerryway. Follow the signs, basically.
Follow the signs, and if you can get down to the recce, to recce it. Yeah, cool. So any other?
Well, just with the recce's, and if people are out on their own, if they're out at night time, I know I'm always on about this, but it's the close the gates. And if you're running at night time, be conscious of livestock, and that a lot of cattle are in calf right now, or over the next few weeks will have calves, and the cattle are not happy if they are at any way spooked, particularly if they have babies. So it's just to be really conscious of, particularly at nighttime, head torches, groups of people running. The cattle are used to people in the daytime, but they're just not used to them at nighttime. So again, just to be conscious of what you're doing, and to be conscious of the land is owned by somebody, and it's only from their kindness that we can use it. So, and even if we lose the goodwill of one landowner, the whole thing is gone, because it won't be joined up queue anymore. So I know I'm always on about these things, but it's just that it's the background stuff. And again, ticks are there, so just be careful. So that's all the boring stuff. Yeah.
Cool. The necessary stuff. To keep it running, a well-oiled machine which you have created over the past few years. So superb. So we'll have more chats closer to the event with the real serious stuff, and people will have more questions as we get closer. So that's wonderful. Any other information you want to share with us before we...
Email me or ring me. There's never a problem. And it's I've heard all the questions by now, I really have, but I'm always looking for a new question that will entertain me. But there will be, the communal emails will be starting shortly. And for this year, not yet have I had to say, read the website, which is brilliant.
Because I was running with somebody today, and they said the one takeaway from tonight will be from Eilleen: read the website. Yeah. So you haven't said that yet, which means the website is working. Yeah.
It is working. Yes, it's working, and people are Now I know I'll probably hear it tomorrow, or probably have to say it tomorrow. But no, everything is working. Community emails will be starting after the recce's, and all the answers are there.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much, Eilleen, and we will chat very, very soon.
Thank you, and you as well. We couldn't do it without you. You were as valuable as Six West and Simal.
No, not at all.
Yes.
Okay. Right, it's these guys we can't do without, that we're just about to chat to, and especially Dave and Liz. I'm just going to get into their story, which I think is really cool. Thank you, Eilleen. We'll chat soon.
Talk soon. Bye.
Right, so these guys do I have on. I remember it was last August, I think I was chatting with Stephen Murphy, okay? And a comment came through on the Facebook Live saying, hey guys, or Stephen that actually said, if I remember correctly, saying, I have a buddy that wants to crew for somebody. And I say, this random punter wants to crew for other unknown punters, whatever. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty quirky and cool. And it turned into something cool. There's this crazy dude that you can see up there on the screen, whatever. Let me show him. That started crewing for, from what I understand, people that he didn't know, James Hedgie and also Liz. He came, he did up his van. He came with mugs and t-shirts and whatever, and it's really cool. And I suppose it shows you what sort of a community there is around the Kerry Ultra, but also I suppose the Irish trail running community, which is really cool that people get excited about being out there. It's not all about them and their performance and their races. They're out there to support other people. So that's why I've been wanting to get Dave on for so long, and I finally have him tonight. David, how are you doing?
Ronnie, how are you, man? Good to see you.
Good. Firstly, can we talk about the Kerry Weigh-in last year and how that whole thing came about? Then we're going to get a little bit into your backstory. So I was on the Facebook Live. Was I kind of correct there when
you were? Yeah, I reached out to Stephen prior to the call, and I had told him, look, I'm going to be down in Kerry. If there's anybody you know who needs a crew, you let me know. I look for any reason to get onto the trail. I know the buzz on the trail, and I know the buzz in the community. So I'll do anything to be there.
Right, cool. So in the end, you ended up crewing for two people, from what I understand. Was it James Hedgie and also Liz, who will be on shortly?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so James was running. James was a complete stranger to me. Me and Liz were connected on Instagram probably a year prior to the Kerry Way. James was running the 200 kilometer, and Liz was giving the 60 kilometer a bash. So yeah, me and Liz, we became connected when I lost a dog about a year and a half ago, and the whole story went viral. And I got connected with a lot of people in the trail community, because those were the people I reached out to help me find this dog. So I created a lot of very interesting connections.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you lost a dog and Liz connected to help you find?
Yeah. I had a lot of people in the trail running community share the story. I think Ricky Wynn had shared the story, and Liz probably found me through him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, that's uncanny and ironic, because I was chatting to Liz for an audio check about 10 minutes ago, and she was late, and I was going, fuck, this Liz woman is standing me up. And it was because she found two dogs on a road that were just let loose, and she took them and found their owner. So Liz, you have a history.
We're both big dog people.
Very good.
Time for little furry friends. But yes, our friendship has kind of blossomed from there. I hiked the Kerry Way last year, and Liz was great support over Instagram while I was out there. And when the Kerry Way came about, just came up, and I jumped on the opportunity to crew for herself and James, and what an experience it was. It was so much crack. The buzz on the trail, you can't beat it. The people you meet, the connections you make there. Exactly. I didn't know any of those people before that day. No.
Right. Class. So how did it actually work, your crewing? Because obviously you went all in, you had t-shirts and everything. Did you meet James in the morning? Did you follow him around, and then you kind of flipped on to Liz on the Saturday?
So James was the priority at first. Liz gave a hand on, was that the Saturday that race started, the 200K? Yeah, so it would have been the Saturday. I met James in Glenbee for the first time with Liz there. So we followed him, we watched him, kept him on the track or on the trail. And we were there from throughout. Now we just didn't make the cutoff for Gortmore. Or Gortfoyle.
Gortmore.
But what an experience. I was up all night, and actually, because I was up all night, I missed the start of Liz's race. So when I woke up, I slept in the back of the van at the race course. And when I got back to the race course that night, the alarm started going off, and it went off for about an hour and a half, and there was about 20 guards there searching the race course. So I missed the start of Liz's race the following morning. So I was like a head case driving across the Ring of Kerry, trying to get to what was the checkpoint? The first checkpoint in her race.
Yeah, you were in. Let me see. Where did we start? We started from Sneak. So you Temple No. Yeah. Cool. So you finally met up, and then the crewing started, and you followed. Liz.
So I guess so much had gone into it. I was so aware of how important this day was for James and Liz. So I done my absolute best. I threw myself at it. You seen the van, you see it, you seen everything I put into the back of the van. Very aware of just how difficult and important it is for these people. So to get the opportunity to play a small role in such a big day, it's class. Like the buzz that comes with that,
Class. Very good. So tell me a little bit about yourself, because you're no stranger to kind of the outdoors in the mountains, and they mean a lot to you. like you were a Boy Scout when you were younger. Tell us a little bit about your past and how you got into kind of.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So as a boy, I was in the Scouts for years. I was a leader in the Scouts, which instilled my passion for the outdoors, you know, from the age of about 10 to 16. And then at the age of 16, I kind of went off the rails for a couple of years. So I was lucky that I had that passion for the outdoors instilled in me, because when I went off the rails, it was always in the back of my mind that you need to get back up into the hills. You know, it's a special place that provides clarity and you know, that headspace that you need. So it was only about 4 years ago, coming on 5 years ago, that I kind of picked myself back up and made a conscious effort to make changes in my life. And that's when the mountains really became a huge part of my life. And then that has kind of evolved into trail running. I think it was about 3 years ago I came across Nicola Cleary's Instagram. She was my gateway into endurance and trail running in Ireland.
Yeah.
And no better lady either. She's an incredible ambassador for trail running. Yeah. And through Nicola, I came across Ricky Wynn, and I was just so fascinated, you know, about what was going on the trails here in Ireland and what we could do. You know, I was living under a rock for quite some time, so I'm catching up now, you know, over the last few years. And yeah, it feels very special to be part of this community now. It really does. But I guess, you know, when I was picking myself up, I was mainly a hiker. You know, I was doing long distance hikes, which kind of evolved into running a section. And then, you know, the following week I'd go back and I'd run a new section. And that became very fulfilling for me, you know, and I'd see this progress. And yeah, I just became addicted to the feelings that come along with that, you know, the progress and hitting the trails hard.
Cool. And tell me, how did you get into racing then? Was it Nicola that pulled you into the Eco Trail, the Wicklow Eco Trail, or how did that happen?
I caught the bug, yeah. So Nicola had me volunteering at the 80k Eco Trail. And I guess, you know, being exposed to these guys who were 60 kilometers into the race, that's where I was positioned. And seeing the crack that they were having, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, these guys are nuts. And I could see a bit of myself in them, you know, and I guess, yeah, that's where I caught the bug. The following year, I ran the 30-kilometer Eco Trail, loved it, brilliant crack. Last year, I volunteered then at the Kerry Way, and now this year I'll be running the 100 night. And to be honest, actually, listening to Eilleen there, I've got to pull my finger out and actually get my ticket.
Oh, you haven't signed up yet?
I haven't signed up for it yet. I've had a couple of other things. Like I have the Spine Challenger South this weekend. So all my focus has been going into that now the last couple of months, you know.
Right. That's a pity, to be honest, Dave, because when I saw what evolved last year, I was saying, we're getting Dave onto the media team. We're going to have the crack around it.
Here, Shawnee, don't knock me yet, because I would love to be involved, man. I'd love to host it, or I'd love to, you know, be your sidekick or whatever.
Yeah. But at another date, you got the running to do, so get the night out of the way or whatever.
Well, I'm gonna have to call in Liz. I'm gonna have to call in Liz to return the favor now.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me, before the Kerry Way night, you have a big adventure plan in a few days.
In a few days, yeah, 3 days out or 4 days out from it now. So on Saturday, I set off on the Spine Challenger South, which is 175 kilometers and over 5,500 meters of climbing. You have a 60-hour cutoff point. I'm aiming for about 35 to 40 hours, depending on how much the wheels come off the bus. But yeah, we'll see how we get on.
Very good, very good. Well, after that, the night should be well doable for you. But 175 kilometers, that's crazy. That's crazy coming from,
you know. It really is. It really is. But you know what? Like I want this bad. I've wanted it now. I've been training for this the last 8 months. My mother passed away about 7 or 8 weeks ago, so I've dedicated this race to herself, and we're raising money for St. Vincent's Ward in the Matter, which is where she had spent her final year. So the whys for me are huge behind this race, you know.
Yeah, condolences. Sorry to hear about that. Right. But yeah, you'll get through that race, and we'll be following you. this weekend, and we look forward to seeing you in Kerry. Before that, just before bringing Liz on, what are the big challenges you see going forward? Because now you're hitting big distances, big challenges like the Spine, like the Kerry Way Night. Have you anything over the next year or two? Because I think, speaking with one or two kind of people, were you planning a trip to Nepal recently enough? Do you have any big adventures?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So unfortunately, I had to pull out of the trip to Nepal given my mum passing. So every year, I'll give you a bit of context. Every year, I've vowed to doing what I call a charitable challenge, right, where I take on something difficult in the name of a good organization or a charity that I believe in. And whatever the challenge is, when I come up with the premise of it, it's always out of my grasp. It ignites this fire within me to train and accomplish what I've set out to do. So this year's charitable challenges were I was to do a high altitude expedition with Jason Black. We were going to sort of head for Mira Peak, which is 6,500 meters. And then the second part of the charitable challenge was the Spine race this weekend. All of it's kind of been upheaved a little bit, and I've had to rejig who we're raising money for and that kind of thing. So the high altitude expedition is now pushed on till next year, and it looks like we've parked off Mira Peak and we're going to go for Island Peak and Amadablam. So 2 hardcore summits.
Sorry, you just cut out there the last 60 seconds.
Oh, what was the last thing you heard?
So basically your high altitude challenge, that's pushed out to next year.
That's pushed out to next year, and it's been kind of chopped a little bit. Rather than Mira Peak, we're now looking at doing Island Peak and Amadablam. So that'll be next year's kind of big challenge.
Yeah. Wow, they are big challenges. Massive. Well done to you. Very inspirational. I'm going to bring Liz on there so we can just have a quick 3-way chat because I know you've got a...
Hi, Dave. Hi, Shawnee. How are you?
Welcome, Liz. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm good. How are you?
Good. So we have Dave, your super crew member here on, as you heard. Have you met since the Kerry Way?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, we actually tried to Caron Tool, didn't we?
We attempted Caron Tool,
but it was not today. It
was not today.
All right, bad weather, yeah?
Yeah, the weather gods did not favor.
Right, very good. All right, anyhow, Dave, thanks very much for everything, for supporting the Kerry Way, for supporting Liz and James, and just being inspirational, because that story for me stood out of the past few years. We've some great sporting performances, but what you did kind of oversteps, a lot of what we've seen. So
I'll just say it's not the last time you've seen the DPD crew van on the trail, that's for sure.
Brilliant. Yeah, look forward to seeing you and hopefully working with you. So we will let you go. We'll have a quick chat with Liz. So thank you very much. Thanks, and best of luck this weekend. Okay,
much appreciated. I'll need all the luck I can get, guys.
Yeah, good luck. Bye. Liz, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So tell me about your Kerry experience. Obviously, you had great crew. Did you have other friends down there crewing for you also?
Yeah, so I was very lucky. I had 3 of who are my best friends. So I had Shane Kenny, I had Susan Murphy, and I also had DPD Dave. So I had a deadly crew. I really did. Yeah, I was really, really lucky. And Susan ran the last little bit from Torque out with me as well. So it was an amazing day to cross the finish line and have 3 people screaming for you, and then other people are screaming for you, and they're just strangers and they're coming up. It's an incredible. It was the best day of 2023. It really was. Brilliant. It was my favorite memory of the year.
Brilliant. But it was also, if I'm not mistaken, your longest race to date, was it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was my longest race. I was really apprehensive about 60k is it's huge, and it's on the Kerry Way. It's you have to follow signs, and as you can tell from the t-shirt Dave had, it was Liz gets don't get lost. I get lost everywhere. So it was the thing, like I had people dot watching me, and coming into Clarny, I went to take a wrong turn and my phone just kept pinging because people were like, turn around, and I was on the main road going, I don't know where I meant to go. Like, but it was
really?
just, even people were watching me that I didn't even know were watching, like, so yeah,
Yeah.
it was for me, it was a huge undertaking. Like, even seeing the pictures there, like, they're just women that I met at the start line, and like, I made so many friends that day on the trails. Yeah, and I just, yeah, it was incredible.
It's a great weekend. Tell me a little bit about getting to the Kerry Way, because Kerry Way for some people is kind of, it's a journey. You're getting there. I think you're not a runner for like 10 or 20
No.
years. You got into it over COVID, did you?
Literally over COVID, I suffered a really bad quad tear in a soccer match, and I could barely walk, and I decided that was the exact moment that I was going to learn how to run properly. So I went out for like a 5K, then I did a half K within the 2 kilometer loop around my house. Then I signed up to a half marathon. I did the Dublin Marathon, and then Paul Toomey, a past Kerry Way ultra athlete and another athlete that I'm really lucky to call a friend, he said, do the Kerry Way. And I signed up to it, and then it was just a year of training really hard and trying to like balance everything, but also, like, I showed a lot of it on my Instagram, like trying to train for an event that's really big and bigger than you think you're capable of doing when you don't even consider yourself a runner. And then, because I always said that, I was like, oh, am I a runner yet? Like, the trails are for everyone, and the trail running community especially is so welcoming, that I just wanted to show that you can be normal and not be this elite athlete and still go out and have a great day, do a really good performance. I had a time that I wanted, and I came in under my time, and like, it was great. Like, I'd recommend it to everybody. I think it's such a good race.
Very good. I think that's amazing. Did you went from kind of almost, as you say, 2K or a half marathon to Kerry Way Lite in what, 2 years? It's a year and a half or something?
About a year and a half. Like, I think you have to have a little bit of madness to do ultra running anyway. Like, and I think that madness helps with the training and with the events. And even when you're in the event, it's kind of like, everybody had told me there's a hill coming out of Kenmare. And I was like, oh, that'll be fun. Like, that's fine. It's only like it's a little tiny hill. And I remember messaging my friends at work, because they were all dot watching me, and I was like, lads, this isn't a hill. Like, this I can't stand upright on this. Like, what is this? I sent a message to Dave, and I was like, I can't turn back. The only way that I can go is forward. So I have to just one step at a time. And like, even when you're training and you're doing these really long runs, or you have like time on your feet, it's bite-sized chunks, but they really do all add up, and it helps with your mentality when you go into like these events. And any event from that, like, when I think ultra running is just, you do have to be a little bit mad, but it's the people that are supporting you make all the difference as well. Like, because obviously the training is solitary, you're out on your own, unless you're doing like a recce or something, but it's on the event, it's all the people in your circle are like pushing you forward. So it's so invaluable. Yeah.
Big time. It's kind of, we say a lot, I suppose, you are the average of your five best friends or something like that. You mentioned Paul Toomey, you mentioned some other people. You have kind of a crazy circle of friends. Obviously, there are other people that are not so crazy, but it's those crazy people that are bringing you to the events, that are inspiring you to kind of go on and do the light or night or ultra, whatever. And we're all kind 100%. Of being pushed. Yeah.
Like, good. Even when I was going into Dublin, I had like torn my calf. And I hadn't been able to run for the 4 weeks prior to doing Dublin. And I remember messaging Ricky, and I was like, oh, I haven't trained. Like, how am I meant to, like, the longest I ran was 22K, and my calf popped and I couldn't run. And Ricky was like, sure, look, better to be undertrained than overtrained. Like, it's just the mentality that you have. And sometimes you need that. You need someone to just be like, you'll be grand. Like, don't worry about it. Just do it. And yeah. Most of my friends are tapped, but I'm very lucky with the ones that I have supporting me, that they're amazing.
Very good, very good. And John Boyle, 10 Kerry Way Ultras says, well done, Liz. Good insights for those thinking about attempting. They are very good insights. What would you know, there are lots of people watching that are maybe on the fence about the lite, that have done marathons or whatever. You've obviously given us a few tips there. What would you say to those people that are on the fence about coming down to do the lite? Because 60K is rather daunting for some people.
It is. I would say come off the fence. Just like bet on yourself. Don't underestimate what you're actually capable of, because when you're out there and you see somebody, you'll bring that person on with you. If you see someone struggling, you're going to bring them on, and it works both ways. If you're having a moment, they'll bring you on. Like, I had women come up to me on the trail and they're like, oh my God, you're the girl from Instagram who like puts all of her stories up. And I was like, oh, hi, how are you? Like, it's just, everybody should do something that scares them. I know that it's such a cliche that like, oh, you know, you're capable of anything, and anything you put your mind to, you will achieve. You will. And like I said to you during the week, the learning and the personal learning you get from these events, you're not going to get it anywhere else. Like when I was coming up that hill from Kenmare, I was just like, this is far too hard, and I can't do this. Like, I can't let people down, but I can't let myself down either. And now this year, I'm like, I'm going for the 100K, and I can't think of a better place to do it than Kerry. So, you know, and the 100K scares the absolute bejesus out of me, because I'm like, that's 3 digits. Like, that's 3.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big number for a little runner like me. But like, I know that once I'm there, and once I put in the work, and I know that I put in the work, then it's going to be fine. Like, have a good crew, do your training, and even if you don't have a crew, just have the mindset that the other people are there, and no one is going to leave you suffering. Nobody's going to leave you and not help you. Like, there was a guy coming down into Kenmare and he was limping, and I was like, do you want a paracetamol? Do you want a Nurofen? What do you want? I have. People will help you. Crew
Big time.
will help you.
Liz yeah, you're back. Brilliant.
There we go.
Okay.
But yeah,
so
everybody should just do it.
So you're signed up for the night, and do you have crew? Because your super crewman has skived off now to do the.
I know, yeah, he's kind of dossing, like, you know, like. No, we actually said it this. We were talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and we're actually we're gonna run it together. Like, obviously he's a lot faster than me, but it's nice to have that. And Shane is actually running it as well. So all of my crew are just abandoning me.
Right.
So, you know, applications are open.
Right. We're making a call out just like we did this time last year. Guys, drop in the comments if anybody wants to crew. Okay.
Exactly. I mean, I bring treats and snacks. So, like, I mean, what more
treats.
did you want?
Oh, class! I'll crew. Sorry, Eilleen, I'm not working this year. I'm in for the treats.
Deadly.
Cool. So that's your plan this year, the Kerry Way night. After that, do you have any kind of big dreams or big challenges that you want to maybe accomplish over the next few years?
Over the next few years, oh God, I'm going to say it out loud. I really want to get like a 200K race. So I'd love to have, like, you know, the 100-miler or more. Like Paul is always saying to me, Joe, you're well capable, so just do it. So I really want to have a really established race, Ireland or elsewhere, but I really want to see how far I haven't found that limit just yet, that I can't pass through it. So I'd like to find a race that really challenges me, because I'm quite determined. I'm quite stubborn, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. But when it comes to racing, I haven't yet quite found that race that kind of stops me and makes me really question, like, am I able to do this? So I really want to try and do like the 100-miler. This July, I'm climbing the 4 highest peaks in Ireland in 44 hours or less. And we're doing that to raise money for the Irish Kidney Association. So yeah, that's a little challenge before the Kerry Way. But yeah, they're the only things this year so far.
Cool. Tell me about the 4 peaks in 44 hours. How does logistics work? Are you driving between the mountains and then
between the mountains? Yeah. So starting up and down, and then working our way through the 4 provinces, and then back up again. Then doing it with Jason Black as well. So myself and Dave are very similar in our antics. But yeah, he's great, and it's always very reassuring to have someone on the trails with you who has so much experience. I think that's just like everything I've learned has been from people who've been on the trails before me. So yeah, I'm very excited for that. Again, another really tough challenge. I broke my foot a couple of weeks ago at my last ultra. So yeah, so it's kind of a nice challenge to test the waters for the Kerry Way.
Oh yeah, let's do 4 highest peaks in Ireland with a broken foot. That's a nice challenge.
I mean, why not? I mean, like, why not?
Yeah, why not? Anyhow, we wish you the best, Liz. Thank you
so
very
much.
much for coming on and sharing your story.
Thanks for having me.
Look forward to seeing you in September with Dave doing the Kerry Way night. It's going to be a great crack. And bring me some treats, please.
I will.
All right?
I will.
All right. Thank you very much. Chat soon.
Bye, Tony. Bye, guys.
Right, guys, that is the inspiring, I think one of the most inspiring stories, David and Liz, that kind of came together in this with crewing, because crewing is a thing also, coming down for the crack on the trails. It doesn't always have to be about racing, so that's pretty cool. So the next person we have on is Eilleen. Has been kind of talking to me for many years, you know, and she's always been kind of almost manifesting, or kind of like Nostradamus, kind of saying that sometime soon we're going to have a woman that's going to win the Kerry Way outright and kick all the guys' asses, or win, whatever. And women have been performing better and better, and new women are coming into the race, which is absolutely amazing. And what Eilleen has been predicting for many years happened last year. And I was told a few months in advance, I was told by somebody, watch out for Sorcha Loughnane, because she is going to be a fast racer. And she was, and she won the Kerry Way lite. And she won it outright. So we have her on today. Very inspiring Kerry woman, from what I understand. Is that right, Sorcha?
It is, yeah.
I'm
from Ballinskelligs, County Kerry, so the Kerry Way Ultra Lite is almost my stamping ground. So
very good.
Yeah.
And yeah, tell us a little bit about your past, because I've been digging into your past a little bit and following you since last year, and it's been pretty damn inspiring what you've been doing. Do you want to tell us, I suppose, what your background is in running, because you've come from a road running background, is that correct?
Yeah, so mostly road running. I ran a bit in school and then kind of gave it up and didn't run again until I was in my 30s, and just started training for the women's mini marathon in Dublin, and did that very badly, but mostly just really enjoyed the training. So I started to train for the Dublin Marathon, and just really enjoyed it, really, I suppose, kind of found my groove in terms of the marathon distance, and ran quite a few marathons, and just did all road running pretty much. But I think, you know, both you get a little bit older and a little bit slower at the road running, but also I think, you know, you just like, for me, I just would love going down to Kerry and kind of running kind of in the hills, or just kind of around the countryside. And I think just, you know, the training starts to get quite repetitive with marathon training and road running. So I just kind of started last year, just kind of thinking about maybe doing some kind of hill runs and just trail races, and like Kerry Way Ultra Lite, and that was kind of always something that I had kind of thought, okay, I know I had done a few road kind of ultras. So I had done the 50k distance. I did the 100k Anglo-Celtic plate with Ireland. That was you know, a home countries international. So I kind of knew I could handle the distance. So it was just about trying to kind of learn a little bit more about the art of trail running, I suppose. So so yeah.
Very good, because you've mastered the road. Basically, you've ran with Ireland. You were 6th, I think, in the European Championships. Was that back a few years ago? So your times are super fast. Is your 50k time 3:18, I think. Is it the national record and a world best in your age group?
Yeah, old lady world best. Yeah.
Old lady, but it's funny what you said there. As we get older, we get slower. That's not happening with you. Can you give us the secret?
I don't know. I think I just I suppose I'm still into the training. I think that people maybe, maybe it's less about their kind of, obviously the physical decline happens, but I think oftentimes people just, it's very hard to kind of stay focused on that level of training for that long, So I think I'm still enjoying the training basically. So so I think that's probably one of the secrets, is just stay liking the training. So
very good. You like the grind, and you have, is it Gary O'Hanlon that is your coach trainer?
Yeah. So Gary's my coach, and is a phenomenal 50K runner himself, and I think that's a huge reason why I kind of took to the distance so much, is because I had a coach who didn't really feel that there was any kind of big leap from marathon to 50K distance. So so that was really helpful, and just kind of him knowing kind of how to run it. And yeah, so I think I was always kind of, look, I'm not really great at distances shorter than marathon or half marathon, so I think it's just finding your own groove and your own kind of strengths, so, and I think that's what's great about trail running and ultra running, is there is kind of people who wouldn't traditionally have thought of themselves as kind of brilliant runners can really find their groove in that, so.
Big time. And tell me, the transition to trail running, you were just talking about that. How did you transition? Did you find any issues? Because obviously the terrain is quite different. I think we chatted a little earlier about your recent race in Annecy. It's a completely different ball game to racing on a lot of the trails in Ireland. How have you adapted and to basically be a trail runner and to bring your speed over?
Well, very slowly. I think, in fairness, I think a lot of the races I did, and look, I was kind of trying to kind of learn it a little bit before I was kind of doing any major races or anything like that. Of the earlier kind of races I was doing. So races like the Kerry Ultra Lite, like they are completely suited to a road runner skill set. It's very runnable. There's only really kind of two sections that might challenge a road runner who doesn't have, kind of that much trail experience. And, quite a few of the other kind of trailish races I would have done probably were quite runnable as well, so I suppose I was kind of, in a way, maybe avoid anything that challenged my road runner kind of sensibilities too much. But I think, I've had a bit of a rude awakening this year and have found the transition much more challenging, I think, this year, because I ran the Morris Mullins in Wicklow, which was the trial race for the European Championships in Annecy. And, rightly so, it is a very, very tough kind of race with a lot of elevation, a lot of climbing, really, really challenging, because it has to be, because it's trialing for a European Championship race that will be just as challenging and more challenging. So I think this year has been a real kind of rude awakening for me. I think last year I was kind of going, this transition is easy, but now that I've kind of done a couple of races where, the elevation is, where you really are kind of, it's, much more mountain running than I've been used to. So that's been pretty challenging, and I have learned a lot about my weaknesses, of which there are many, and I've really had to kind of try and find that balance between kind of training for this, not getting injured, really trying to kind of, I suppose, manage training load, because, I'm so used to, as a road runner, just kind of thinking about mileage when I think about my training load, and now there's so many other kind of factors to consider. So that's been pretty challenging, but also as well, I think I'm kind of learning that, look, you don't always have to be the full package, and I think obviously there are amazing trail runners and mountain runners who are the full package, and
Mhm.
I very definitely am not. And like, say, a race like we had in Annecy probably didn't have too much of the running I like, which is a lot of kind of, fast runnable sections in
Mhm.
between the climbing, because, it had a lot of really serious kind of, hiking, climbing, and then it also had, very kind of very fast descents, maybe, sometimes kind of, not on the easiest terrain, but look, I'm learning. There's some things I don't think I'll ever master. I'll never master, kind of good downhill running. I just don't think I'm a good downhill runner. But certainly I'm trying to kind of work on the climbing. So
Yeah. So you have adapted your training. Do you get out to the hills much? Because you're based up in Dublin, are you? Do you get out to the Wicklow Mountains? Yeah.
yeah, look, I'm trying to get out to Wicklow as much as possible, and I did that, in the lead up to both Mars Mullins and to Annecy. So it's just kind of, getting up at whatever 5:30 on a Saturday morning and trying to get out for a long run in Wicklow or whatever. But just need to branch out a bit maybe. But then sometimes, like, I just go to the park and just kind of pick a nice hilly section of the Phoenix Park and just kind of run it monotonously over and over again. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but and obviously hill interval training. Look, I don't live anywhere near mountains, and when I go down to Kerry, I do as much training as I can in the mountains. But I think you just kind of have to work with what you have. So I try to kind of have at least one hill interval session every week, and then just getting out once a week. So
Cool. So tell me, future plans. You're obviously just back from the Europeans over in Annecy. What are the plans for the rest of the year?
So I am going to. So I haven't run 100K since that Anglo-Celtic plate that I did in, I think it was 21, or I can't remember, was it 2021 or 2022 now, but I think it was 21.
Before.
But I haven't run 100K since then, so I'm really keen to do that again. So I would have had a notion to maybe do the ultra night this year, but I think I'm also kind of thinking that I might do the World Masters mountain running, which you don't have to qualify for, you just have to be old. So so I might do that instead, which I think is on the same weekend. And I might do this 100K trail race in the UK in a few weeks' time now. So just more as a little kind of experiment. It's nice kind of runnable trail. It's the Serpent Trail in the South Downs in the UK, and it's very runnable, I would say. But it's more about just kind of seeing how I like that distance, because I think the plan really is to try and kind of work up the distances a bit now. So
Okay. It's interesting. Work up the distances. So you're racing with Emma Stewart there in Mullins and over in Annecy, and we know all about her. So where do you, over the next few years, plan to take those distances? Obviously, you've come right up to the 100K trail running almost. Do you have any aspirations to kind of hit the really long stuff? Because we see women just about everywhere performing incredibly over really long distances, like the Kerry Way full. Do you plan on doing that over the next few years, and then beyond that?
yeah, I don't know how I think really one of my kind of reservations about that is really I'm still a runner. I love running, and that's what kind of I get a lot of pleasure out of, and I'm not sure I would kind of maybe that I wouldn't get that kind of that kind of buzz from something where I'm kind of maybe hiking a lot over kind of a multi-day event or something. Now, like, obviously I'd really enjoy that as an experience, but I suppose I feel I still kind of am more interested in races where I'm kind of I'm running, so so that's kind of definitely a factor that's kind of influencing what I might think. Like, look, I think everybody kind of feels most of those iconic races out there are 100 miles. I think everybody would like to kind of think that ultimately they'll give 100 miles a shot. But for me, I'd love to, over the next kind of, year or so anyway, find kind of some good 100K type distance races to just see how I kind of manage that. Because, I still think, like, and one of the reasons, say, with the Kerry Ultralight, I think, one of the reasons I did well at that was because it did kind of still suit my running strengths rather than, so I still think that that's probably a big factor in my kind of thinking as to the races I do. So.
Cool. Very wise, because I think lots of these 100-milers and, with the documentaries and everything coming out kind of idolizing all these big races, and we all want to do it and we all sign up and whatever, but sometimes you kind of got to step back and take a look at one's strengths. I think I kind of like runnable races too, rather than very technical stuff around here, which are crazy descents, people passing me, flying by. So you're going to stick with races that you can, I suppose, that suit your strengths. That's cool.
Yeah, well, look, I want to work on my weaknesses too. And the one thing that I found with Annecy, because in some ways I was, the conditions were terrible. It had been raining a lot. The mud was, you'll know this, but I wasn't used to the kind of mud that you get over there. That's nothing like, it's not like the watery, boggy mud we have here. Right. It's like just so thick. And, once you get that mud in your shoes, it's like you're carrying a ton weight. But yeah, the part of it I really surprisingly enjoyed was kind of using the poles and the hiking parts, where you kind of feel like actually you can actually really move here, you can really kind of get into quite a rhythm, uphill, and as long as you're kind of I suppose kind of getting into that rhythm, you can kind of really still move, I think, so
yeah. Very good. And are you used to running with poles? This was from Annecy, was it not?
That was my first time ever running with poles. So other piece of advice, maybe don't just, they say nothing new on race day, and here's me with like a whole new kind of way of moving. But look, I don't think I would have finished the race without them. And I actually found them, pole use was basically the topic of conversation for the entire time we were over there, because I think people have very different views on poles or no poles, and I think some people are very, very, against using them if you're not used to them. But I think a lot of the people who would say, look, don't use them if you're not used to them and you don't need them, are probably people who are exceptionally strong mountain runners, and I'm not. Yeah. So yeah, I think, if you have that kind of strength and fitness, maybe, but I needed them.
Cool. So before we leave, can you just kind of run through last year's performance at the Kerry Way? Just kind of, how did you go out? How did you plan it? Did you have a time? What was your strategy, basically?
Yeah, like when I think about my planning for it, so look, I trained, like, so the one thing I'd say, well, a couple of things actually. I got on the course a lot because I was lucky to be down in South Kerry for a lot of the summer. So I was kind of out there doing a lot of training on the course, which was great. And then the other thing was that kind of gave me the confidence that it was very runnable. So that kind of, informed my training a lot then, because then I was like, right, well, this isn't a case of, it wasn't like when I was training for Mars Mullins or for Annecy, where I'm like, I just need to be in the mountains as much as possible. And therefore my tempo runs kind of have to suffer a bit. I kind of knew I need to keep the tempo runs going in the training. I really need to kind of just keep working on my road speed, as well as kind of working in the hills into the training as well. So that, I think, was just kind of knowing that about the course was really good. In terms of my approach to the race, I don't know what I was expecting in terms of time. I knew I kind of wanted to kind of get under 6 hours. And I knew that obviously I would like to win it. And I kind of had half a thought of, okay, if I do a decent time, I could be overall podium kind of thing, possibly. But on the day, like, look, the day was very warm. That's the other thing, is like, I think you always get the old back to school weather, don't you? So
Yeah.
it was quite a warm day. And like, even though I think I fueled very well, and I kind of I took on fluids very well, I still got almighty cramping coming out of Kenmare. And and thank God for my mum and my sister were my crew, and they were brilliant, because everywhere that they were, I could like just pour very cold water over my head, and that was, you know, a godsend. But I think the other thing about that day was, I was pretty sure that my race was over coming out of Kenmare, because I was, and like, I know you had a video of me coming into Kenmare, and I was feeling brilliant,
Yeah.
really strong. And the minute I got to that hill, just the cramps hit, and I was like, oh shit, this is it now. I've ruined the race. I've basically gone out too hard. I'm cramping to hell now, and it's all gonna fall to pieces. But I mean, I think it's just amazing, that kind of sense of, you know, no matter where you are in an ultra race, just you just have to keep moving forward, because you just don't know how anybody else is feeling. You don't know how the race is going to pan out. And by the time I was kind of over that section, you know, and I started to feel a good bit better, you know. So I just think it was kind of tough enough conditions, and I know other people were suffering a lot with cramps, but rest assured, I was feeling just as bad as everybody else. So yeah, but so look, I think, you know, just hanging on in there really, and just kind of and then making sure, when I was kind of on that Old Kenmare Road, knowing where those little kind of bits of water are, where, you know, when you don't have crew there, you can kind of go and dunk your hat in a lake or whatever. So yeah, no, it was good to know the route. So
Very good, very good. Yeah, we've a few comments coming in there saying well done, very inspirational, and it was indeed. And just another question I have there is, you know, I see those drawings behind you. I assume from your kids. You have a few kids. Yeah,
I have two kids. Yeah,
very talented. So you've two kids. You're working up in Dublin, I assume. You've a busy life, especially women, obviously. Mostly, you know, run the household and look after things. How do you put in those big training blocks? Because you're representing Ireland, you're putting down some massive times, winning races outright. What sort of discipline, what sort of habits do you have you put in place to allow you to train so much?
Well, I guess and I think I've spoken about this before, like this idea that there's any sense of balance, like it doesn't exist, you know. Things like, you have to just kind of accept that you're not doing things well in other parts of your life. So when I've been at, like, you know, my peak training for some races, you know, you're just living with the guilt of knowing that I'm neglecting the kids, or, you know, kind of, I shouldn't be leaving work at this time, but I need to get back and train, or, you know, and, you know, just kind of, just that feeling of kind of, all right, look, I'm not kind of doing everything well here. And I definitely think that I haven't managed to find any balance in my life, and my husband would slag me off about this constantly. He can't stand hearing the words, "How do you find that balance?" He's like, "What balance?" Yes. So look, I think, you know, sometimes you need to be a bit selfish. Sometimes you need to accept that you are living with the guilt of not doing things very well. But I think the other thing that I'm finding as well is, you know, maybe a year or two ago, I might have been training a lot more. I think I am going to have to accept that maybe I just can't do training to the level that I used to, or at least maybe kind of just better race management. You can't be kind of always in that kind of pre-race mode. I think you need a bit more downtime. So I think that's kind of a lesson for me that my family would wish I could learn. So, but yeah, anyway, how do I do it all? Very badly. So.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's maybe the story of lots of runners. We we have a little bit of that guilt to be out there, but you just gotta, it's so important, I suppose, as Dave said there, for mental health, for you have to be selfish sometimes to be a better person for, I suppose, your family and for your job and stuff, you know. It all comes together in the end. So brilliant. Sorcha, thank you very much for your time and sharing your tips and tricks and how you actually do it, win races outright. And I'm sure it'll continue. We will see you, hopefully, we will see you very soon, I hope, down in Kerry, if not this year, obviously, because you're going off to the Masters, maybe next year.
Well, we'll see. If the Masters doesn't happen, I'll definitely be down in Kerry. So
cool. Anyhow, thank you very much. And as Liz said there, Sorcha is such an inspiration to us female athletes. Yes, as are you, Liz, with what you're doing. So thank you very much, and we will chat very soon. Okay?
Thanks, Emil, Shawnee. Thank you. Bye. Bye.